contradicting. The same thing would have happened in a different yuga, in a different way. That's all it is. Therefore, we should not expect that, okay, we finish Krishna's childhood pastime and then his pastimes in Dwaraka, then maybe we are expecting something to come in sequence. It may not be so. But we can relate everything together. So in that, I just want to make sure that we all understand it's not sequential. But this chapter that we are going to see, the second chapter from the 11th canto, I'm purposefully skipping the first chapter of 11th canto. We'll discuss that later. But the second chapter is what we're going to start with from the 11th canto. Narada Muni was visiting and staying for some period with Vasudeva and Devaki. After all those things happened, life is settled and they're there. At that point of time, Vasudeva is asking, okay, now I got to check the messages.
WhatsApp, you should close that WhatsApp.
It's not WhatsApp, it's they're messaging something. Hare Krishna, is this live recording available in our temple YouTube too, so we can listen later? Yeah. Can you please deal with all this chatting so I don't need to turn back and keep getting distracted? So if you have any questions other than what has been discussed here, please directly message Gopal Prabhu and he can answer. And if there's related to this one, just raise your hand or open your turn on your camera so I get my attention turned towards you, if you don't mind. Vasudeva and had a conversation. Narada Muni came, and then Vasudeva and Narada Muni sat together, and Vasudeva was asking some questions, potent, nice questions. And that brings up this chapter 2. He asked some questions like, can you please explain what is that, as a human, what are we supposed to do? It may be, we may feel that what is this repeatedly these questions comes, but we should understand, Parikshit Maharaj asked this question when he was going to die in 7 days. Vasudeva is not having any time limit of dying in 7 days, but he's asking the same question. So the answer could be different, right? But it all leads to the same goal. But the way it's going, therefore, we should understand the answers that we provide may not be a cookie cutter answer for everyone. It's differ for each and every person. The principle is same, the details may differ. We can't go and tell the same detail to a school student, what we are going to talk to an adult. But the principle will be same, cultivate bhakti. But how we are going to tell the details is going to differ. You are not going to tell the same way to the 5th grader or the 6th grader when you go and talk to a householder. So therefore, Vasudeva is asking, what am I supposed to do as a human? Can you please tell me what are the things? Right. So here, Narada Muni says, by you asking me these questions, my dear Vasudeva, he says, Toya Parama Kalyana Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Smarito Bhagavan Adhya Devo Narayana Mama. By you just asking this question, you simply reminded me about Narayana. Just ask this question, you reminded me about Narayana. By remembering him, his auspicious names, auspicious pastimes and qualities, one gets purified. Then he goes, Atrapi Udaharinantam Itihasam Puranatam Ar Sabhanam Cha Samvadam Vedahasya Mahatmanaha. It says to explain the devotional service of the Lord, sages have related an ancient story. If there's an ancient story which the sages have explained, let me explain that story to you. So that's how it is. Usually when they give advices to someone in those days, they don't project themselves, they know everything. It's a little different than how we deal with people. When we talk, we tell, I know everything, I'm going to give you an advice now. Just please follow. But when we go and talk to such a great source, what they do is, rather than telling, I'm going to give you an advice, they say, this is what I heard from someone. Let me tell that to you. That's much better and much safer also. Otherwise, you take responsibility of something goes wrong in someone's life. You tell, I heard this one from someone, I'll tell you. Right? So Narada Muni says the same thing. I'm going to narrate a conversation that took place between king of Videha Desha. Videha Desha. His name is Nimi Maharaj. Nimi. And then with the sons of Rishabhadev. Rishabhadev had many sons. And especially the 9 sons are prominent ones. The first 9 ones are prominent. They are called Navayogendras. So I'm going to tell you the conversation that took place between these two. You remember the Swayambhuva Manu had a son called Maharaj Priyavrata. Swayambhuva Manu had Priyavrata. One son is Priyavrata. And another one is Uttanapada. Uttanapada is the father of Dhruva. That's a different line. Now Priyavrata is like another son. So among the Priyavrata, the son was Agnidra. Agnidra. And Agnidra he got another son called Nabi. And Nabi had a son called Rishabhadev. Okay. Now it just goes, the slokas goes here. It says that Rishabhadev had 100 sons. The first son was Bharata. First son is Bharata. And Bharata, who because of this, the name Bharat Varsha, the name came. And Bharata rejected everything, and it went into the austerity, performing austerity to remember the Lord. The 9 of the remaining sons of Rishabhadev, besides this son, he had another 9 sons. Rishabhadev, they took over in charge of the islands around the Bharata Varsha. This is all some cosmological about the Bhuloka and so forth. If you read Bhagavatam, you get the details of all these different things. And the 81 sons become the rishis, Brahmanas, the Brahmanas, and they perform the Karma Kanda session. Now he goes into this detail, where he says the 9 remaining sons of Rishabha where is naming them Kavi, Havir, Antariksha, Prabhuda, Pipalayana, Avirhotra, Durmila, Chamasa, Karabhajana. These are the 9 sons. No need to memorize the names. But remember, these names have been mentioned. But it is important because these sons are the one who is going to have a conversation now. Beautiful conversation. Tayite Bhagavat Rupam Vishwam Sadasat Atmakam Atmono Avyatrikena Pashyanto Vecharana Mahim. These sages wandered the earth, seeing the entire universe. They have been wandering in different places. They are called Yogendra, Navayogendras. And as they were roaming around, everyone was paying respect to them. And then they came to a place where the king Maharaj Nimi was ruling. King Nimi, he was ruling. So he comes there. As soon as he comes there, the king sees him and then falls at his feet and pays his obeisances to all the 9 sons. And then he says that he asks these questions now, similar questions. Now he asks a question. Videgastan abhipritye Narayana Parayanan Pritaha Sampujyam Chakre Asanastan Yatar Hataha. The king says, now the king Nimi understood that the 9 sages are exalted. They are not ordinary beings. They offered him proper respect. And then now he speaks. Hare Krishna. Now he says, I can understand you're not ordinary souls. You're directly associated with Lord Narayana. Durlabho manusho deho dehinam shana banguraha tatrapi durlabam manye vaikunta priya darshanam. For the conditioned souls, the human body is most difficult to attain, to achieve. And it has been lost for immediately we lose a body and get another body. It constantly keeps going on. But I think that even those who have achieved human life rarely gain the association of pure devotees. Now what he's trying to do is glorifying those Yogendras. He's telling human life is still very rare. We should understand human life is very rare. But rather than getting human life is one may get human life. But getting the association of saintly people is rarest. Very rare. It's not very easy to get association of saintly people. I am so fortunate that I got the association of you 9 great souls. So just to quickly recap here, we just started. You didn't miss anything. We are in the 11th canto, 2nd chapter, skipping the 1st chapter for now. Second chapter, where there's a conversation happening between Narada Muni and Vasudev. And Vasudev is asking question to Narada Muni, and Narada Muni is narrating a story, a conversation that took place between King Nimi and Yogendras, the 9 great yogis. Right? What are we supposed to do in the as a human? So now that this 9 great sages are here, Nimi is glorifying them. Rare thing to get is the association of the saintly people. That's the rare one. Therefore, you are all sinless ones. I ask you to kindly tell me what is the supreme good. We all ask this question. What is good for me? Please tell me. Right? What is the supreme good for me? Not just good, supremely good for me. After all, even a half a moment of association with pure devotees within this world of birth and death is priceless treasure for any man. Even a little bit of association of saintly people is, but here is the question comes. Usually this question comes, right? Is when we have the association of the devotees, we were discussing, Priya Mataji and myself were discussing this morning also, that if someone is having an association of devotees, then they're not supposed to fall down. And in the case of Bharat Maharaj, who had an association, who stayed in the ashram and all those things before also, then later he got the association of the sages in the body of a deer. He got a body of, then he realized, even before he had association, he was in the ashram. How can he fall down when he was already having an association? So what we need to know here is, Priya Mataji, how do you, did I say the question correctly?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes. Yeah.
So here is what we need to understand. We need to understand? Sambandha is needed, but Sambandha is not going to give everything. Sambandha jnana is important. For example, I would have told this one. We know that dipping ourselves in Ganges purifies us. We know that. That's why people, when go to India, they go to Ganges and they take bath in Ganges to remove all the sins, right? We don't know what they do after they come back. That's a different topic. But they do this one, right? Now the question is, there are hundreds and thousands and millions of aquatics living in this Ganges. They're not, once in a while they take a ticket and go to India to take this. They're there, living there. What is going to happen to those fishes? They have the sambandha. They have the relationship with Ganges. Are they going to be completely free and attain moksha? The answer is no. Why? Because just by association is not enough. Just having just me knowing something is not going to help. I know this is my father. Well, you know his father. Then what? Right? We have to know the details of what is the relationship between father and son. We need to know the glories of Ganges and the problems that we have. That jnana is important. That sambandha jnana is very important. Unless sambandha jnana is there, it's not going to be of any use. Otherwise, we can know that many people even in ISKCON, many people had the association of Prabhupada. They also got initiated, but they also, many people left and went back to their business, whatever they were doing before becoming a devotee. Even now we can see many people are connected with devotees, but they still have some sort of habits which they continue to do because they don't have a proper jnana. It's not only that association, just coming into association, one thing. The second thing is very important. Making an opportunity of that association is very important. Otherwise, it's not going to be effective. Therefore, association is one thing. Association with the proper knowledge is second thing. And third thing is making use of that association. Strictly following under the instruction of that association, whatever the instruction that we get, we have to strictly follow those things. If not, anyone will fall down. Doesn't matter. We cannot simply say that how is that an association? He had an association, then how did he fall down? Well, not only association, proper knowledge, along with that, strictly following the instruction that being given in that association. Otherwise, anyone will fall down. Same question can be asked, what about those who got the association of Prabhupada? They all also fell down. That's one way of seeing. Second way of seeing is, for our eyes, it looks like they fall down. But God has a different plan for everyone. Even if we fall down, God has a plan for those people, because Krishna guarantees anyone who's my bhakta, I will take care of them. I will never leave them, even if they slip away in doing certain things. And the third point is important point is that when we make some mistakes, there are two ways that it falls into. One is intentionally, second one is unintentionally. That which is unintentionally done, Krishna is always there to protect us. He will take care. But those sins which are done intentionally, then we got to pay for it. Not that Krishna is going to kick us out, but we have to pay for it. And that payment could be taking few lifetime also. So there are different factors that's involved in the story of how Bharat Maharaj fell down and became so. So we really don't know what Krishna's plans are, and we don't know what consciousness he had. We can simply can't say that he didn't practice, or he did intentionally or unintentionally, and many factors are there. Okay, so that's something that speaking about association, we should know that. Now the king is asking these Yogendras that please speak about how one engages in devotional service of Supreme Lord. If you consider me capable of properly hearing these topics. So the way that he is asking the question is also so beautiful. He's saying, no, don't just jump and ask a question. The right way of asking question is, I have a question, and this is my question. If you think I'm qualified, even not even qualified as a knight, if you think I'm fit to hear the answer, please tell me the answer. This is a way of asking question, rather than challenging someone or putting straightforward question. If you think I'm ready to hear, sometimes, not all answers can be given to everyone. Certain times we have to delay the answers until the person matures to hear that answers. So therefore, we may have to defer the question. Just because we know answers to everything, we just cannot throw the answers out in public. And that's not the way that great sages also did. They slowly, gradually bring that person up for them to understand the actual answer. Therefore, it takes some time for some people. Right? If you go and tell some answer, that people may get completely disturbed and say, oh my God, from next time I'm not going to come to this class anymore. And therefore, you got to take it slow dose. So, Sri Narada Uvacha, Yevam te nimina prishta Vasudeva Mahatmaha. So he says, oh Vasudeva, when Maharaj Nimi had thus inquired from the 9 Yogendras about devotional service to the Lord, those best of saintly persons sincerely thanked the king of his questions. And then they started speaking now. The first person who was speaking out of 9 his name was Kavir, Sri Kavir Uvacha. So first one is going to speak. Now he says that I consider that one whose intelligence is constantly disturbed, I consider that one whose intelligence is constantly disturbed by his false identifying himself with the temporary material world can achieve real freedom. So he says that first understand that basic things, when it comes to any spiritual topic, everyone is going to start with the basic topic, which is I am not the body. So this particular chapter, if we read, pretty much we finished reading Bhagavad Gita. This chapter has some 50 slokas. If you understand this slokas in this chapter, it's pretty much a replica of what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Starting from Atma Jnana, what is Atma, what is Sharira, and how one should understand and come to a realization of we are not this body, we are Atma. And Krishna says only way that you can understand that you're not this body or Atma is by practicing your yoga, karma yoga. Do your karma yoga, and that will lead you to a Atma Sakshatkara. You come to a self-realization. The question is how to one perform karma yoga, because Vasudeva is asking these questions. So therefore, Kavir, the Muni, the great Rishi, is telling that Kayena Vacha Manasendriyerva. This is sloka number 36. Those who are following me. Kayena Vacha Manasendriyerva Buddhyatmanava Vadyatmanavastra Swabhavat Karoti Yat Tat Sakalam Parasmai Narayana Yati Samarpayati Tat. This is a sloka, but when we recite, we don't recite the last line this way. Kayena Vacha Manasendriyerva Buddhyatmanava Prakriti Swabhava, and then Karomi Yatyat Sakalam Parasmai Narayana Yati Samarpayami. Now, when we say samarpayami, but this is a vakya of the rishis. They say this is how you have to do. They're giving an instruction to that person. So therefore, they're telling that you do in this way. How are you going to do? You have to do in this way. Whatever you speak, whatever you do, however things you get engaged, do everything as an offering unto Narayana, Krishna. Very simple. If you're running a business, if you're going to the job, if you're taking care of the family, if you're doing any of such, even your eating habits, you are eating, doing exercise, right? Everything that you're trying to do as an offering to Lord Narayana. And this is a sloka. Last week also we were discussing about Ganesha and so forth. I think the same thing that we're discussing. Whenever we start any pujas, it's just we invoke Keshavaya Namaha, Narayanaya Namaha, right? Govindaya Namaha. And then we start Vakratunda and all those different, it's like a starting and end with Krishna slokas. And in between, you just add whatever you want to add to particular devatas. And the last sloka you hear in any pujas, anything, they chant this mantra, Kayena Vacha Manasendriya Buddhyatmana Vasa. And then they just say, if everything is offering unto Narayana, the Supreme Lord. Then why did you do that puja? I have to do that puja. That is also, that Devata is also part and parcel of this Narayana. Ultimately, Narayana, the Supreme Lord, is the Antaryami. He is the Lord within even the Devatas, all the Devatas. He is the one who is Paramatma. Therefore, it goes to that Atma. For example, me bearing this jacket and all this different thing is not for my body. Actually speaking, the one who is within my body is getting satisfied. That is I, the Atma. That's how it is. The body doesn't need anything, doesn't have any intelligence anyway. It is not telling that I'm cold now, put me a jacket. Body is not demanding anything. But the connection, the Atma has that connection with the body, start thinking itself to the body, and therefore it relates. It's cold now, it's hot now, I need a sweater, I need to remove my sweater, it's hot, all sort of things happens. Therefore, the point I'm trying to tell is the name that we have, Lal. Lal is not, even though the Lal name has been given to the body, when my name is being called, it is the Atma who realizes someone is calling me and the body turns. Body itself doesn't have any way to hear anything otherwise. It's only the Atma who realizes someone is calling me, let me turn around and turn. That means what? Those the name is given to the body, it can reach to the Atma. It is Atma, is one ultimately getting satisfied, happy. Right? Likewise, when we satisfy and do pujas to different devatas, it is the Antaryami, the Paramatma who is situated within the devata is who gets satisfied. And that consciousness, that should be the proper understanding. That should be the jnana one should have. Whenever we are doing any pujas, if at all we are doing any pujas for any devatas, that should be the understanding. Okay. So this has been told by the Kavi Rishi that you do anything and everything as an offering to the Lord. If you do that one, two things happens. What are the two things happen? One is your previous karmas get reduced. By in this way, when you do karma in this way, karma yoga in this way, your previous karmas comes reducing. Automatically it gets reduced. And the second thing happens is you will not accumulate new karmas. Why you're not getting accumulated? Why you don't get accumulated with new karmas? Because when we are doing not for our sake, we are doing for the sake of Lord Krishna. For his sake we are doing, therefore we are not going to get a reaction out of it. There's no reaction, there's no new karma, the old karma is reducing. And this is how one should perform. The yogi is teaching about karma yoga, by the way. This is how you should function your way. Don't expect anything. Do it for the sake of doing. What are the three things we often say in karma yoga? That, yeah. I am not the doer. Kartrutva tyaga. I am not the doer. I am not the proprietor. Mamata tyaga. And third one is palatyaga. I am not expecting anything out of it. I am just doing because I have to do this one. This is my duty. When we do this one, there is no disappointment also, by the way. We do something with the expectation. I'm doing for my son now. I hope he loves me. Right? Then the son doesn't love, what happens? Problem comes. But if you do that, God has given me this son or a daughter or this so and so, father or mother, as a service to the Lord, let me serve this person. And that person appreciates or doesn't appreciate, who cares now? Because you're just satisfying God. He has given the son, he's given the wife, he's given the husband, he's given the family members. They are all part of God. I'm just serving them. Their outcome of me interacting with them is not going to affect me anyway. That's how one should perform Vasudeva. So he says this one. And then he's going, then
But the understanding is very difficult. I mean,
that
application is.
therefore we constantly keep, this is why we constantly keep hearing. Even constantly hearing, we keep forgetting. Therefore, it's just not an easy program. It just needs, it is practically, we have to, this is what we have to practice, application part. And especially that realization will come when difficulties arises, more than the happy moments. During the happy moments, we don't get into that mood of, this is this person. For example, if our child outstands in his sports or studies, at that time we don't, usually the thought never comes, God has given this son, so I should not be affected by his whatever awards and rewards. But when the son gives problems to us, or a daughter gives problem to us, that time we will come to a realization, God, it's all your Leela, whatever you're doing, right? So it's a challenge, but that's why we constantly keep hearing Bhagavatam, and we practice spiritual practice by chanting. These are all the one which cleanses our, brings our consciousness to the proper state. So yeah. So yeah. Bhayam dvitiya viniveshata syad ishad apetasya viparyayo asmritihi. So this is a beautiful sloka, sloka number 37, very often quoted also. Fear arises. Why do we get bhayam? Fear. That's explained here. Fear arises when a living entity, by the way, Narada Muni is telling, the Yogendras are telling, Yogendra is telling to King Nimi. Fear arises when a living entity misidentifies himself as a material body. Simple. That's where everything starts. When we identify ourselves to be this body, all bhaya comes. And not only this body, one may tell, I am not worried about my body, it's okay. But then the second part is important. You may not be worried about yourself, your body, or you worried about your son, your daughter, your father, your mother. I don't worry about my, but I care for them. That's an extended body anyway. Yes, it's an extension of our body. Either we came from their body, or these children are from our body. We can say it's also body identification. As a material body, because of absorption in the external illusory energy of the Lord. When the living entity thus turns away from the Supreme Lord, he also forgets his own constitutional position as a servant of the Lord. This bewildering, fearful condition is affected by the potency for illusion, called Maya. Therefore, an intelligent person should engage unflinchingly in the unalloyed devotional service of the Lord under the guidance of his bona fide spiritual master, whom he should accept as his worshipable deity and as his very life and soul. Is not only giving the picture of what the problem is, but also giving the solution here. So we all identify ourselves as our body. How do we remove the idea of we are not the body, we are Atma? Either we get beaten by different experience, or we see people who have been beaten and realize and become careful. Someone has gone through this problem, so let me also not exercise the same experience the other gone through. So therefore, one get engaged in the devotional service in the process of bhakti. By performing bhakti, one slowly comes to an understanding that we are not this body, we are Atma. And there are many, even nowadays, even in current age, there are many great saints who have realized and lived life like that, or living life like that. Many times those great sages, they will not come and speak that I am self-realized. That's a problem for us. We cannot find out. Can you show me who's a self-realized person? And by the way, you'll find answers now. Others also there. You have to be careful. Because there are people in the name of, Swamijis and gurus and so forth. They say that I'm God. So we have to be careful in those aspects also. So now moving on. So he says that this world is full of dualities. Everything appears to be real, they are not real. But we should also understand that what it means is a temporary, not that it's not real, it's temporary. Therefore, it's as good as not real. That's what has been said here. Then the next point that is saying is very beautifully that therefore Gitani Namani Tat Arthakani Ghayan Vilajo Vicharat Asankaha Shunvan Subhadrani Ratanga Panir Janmani Karmani Chayani Loke Gitani Namani Tat Arthakani Kayan Vilochana Vicharat Asankaha. It says an intelligent person therefore should understand to keep away from too much attachment with anything that's going to jeopardize their spiritual progress. Whatever we try to see that this is going to disturb me in my progress in spirituality, keep them away from us. So,
Lecture from this morning on WhatsApp. Same thing, same.
oh, did I say that? Yeah, okay. So keep them away. If that something is not favorable to us, just keep them away. Okay. So don't ask me a question, what should I do with my wife then? Keep her away. So it's on the conscious level. The great sages, as we progress in our spiritual life, this is exactly what we need. Those people have to do. If the family is not on the same page, thank you, on the same page, we should really love them, take care of them as much as possible, spend time with them, and if you want, you dance with them, sing with them, whatever you want to do. But this is all for the satisfaction of that person, not for us. That none of those things are needed for this person. This person does all this thing as if he is doing a drama. As if he's doing a drama. He doesn't give any symptoms that he is frustrated with the life. It never shows any symptom that he's frustrated with his spouse, children. None of it. He just shows the best of being a father or a husband or a wife or whatever it is. But internally is becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. No one gets from external ways. Outside, no one can find out what's going on within him. Okay. So that's what has been said here. A family, therefore, attachment towards the family, nation, all those things is just not worth of having. It goes straight into this one, not worth of having. Rather, one should be hearing and chanting the holy name of the Lord. Therefore, one should be chanting the name of the Lord and hearing the glories of the Lord. Of who? That person who carried the chariot wheel. Who carried the chariot wheel? Krishna, right? Krishna, you want to go and finish Bhishma, right?
Yes.
Bhishma. So we have to remember him. That's what we are supposed to do. And then the question comes, what are we supposed to chant? You said we have to hear his stories, that I understand. So, but Krishna has so many different names. The Lord has so many different names. What name should we chant? The answer comes next in the 40th sloka. Beautiful. Yevam vritaha swapriyanama kritya. This is a very, you have to underline and bold and color it and whatever you want. And the sloka says very clearly, you can chant any names of the Lord. One cannot say this name is better or that name is better. Keshava is better, Krishna is not better. Krishna and Narayana is not better. Mukunda or Madhava, Madhusudana, Narasimha, whatever one likes, they can chant. Any names one can chant. Evam vritaha swapriyanama kritya. Any name can be chanted. But whatever name we are chanting, fix your consciousness in that name. That is important. Okay. But those who are following parampara, they'll be given with certain mantras. Certain names will be given, what to be chanted. So that particular mantra has to be chanted. Every school of that thought have their own mantras or names of the Lord with the chant. Some may say Radhe, 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 Radhe Krishna, Radhe Krishna. Some may say Ram, Ram, Rama, Sri Rama Jayam, Sri Rama Jayam, Sri Rama Jayam. Right? Some may say Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So different mantras are there. One must stick on to that one particular mantra if you're falling into a particular parampara and chant that mantra. For example, you all know Tyagaraja Swami, right? Tyagaraja. He is a great Rama Bhakta. All his kritis are all about Ram. Many kritis, hundreds and thousands of, it's all about Rama kritis. Whereas in Andhra, you may know Samartha, who's this? Ramadas, Samartha Ramadas. So he chants the name of Ram, Jai Ram, like that. So everyone, whatever they want to chant, they can chant. Why it has been recommended to chant? Because we cannot be like Bhishma Dev. Bhishma Dev he followed celibacy so strictly. He followed brahmacharya so strictly. And Dhruva is a best example for austerity. Can we be like a Bhishma? Can we do austerity like Dhruva? Can we do bhakti like Prahlad? Can we do, we cannot do bhakti yoga like Prahlad. We cannot do jnana yoga by Bharat Maharaj. We cannot do that. So we cannot do karma yoga like Janaka Maharaj. Janaka Maharaj is an example of karma yoga. We doesn't fall into any of these categories. We are not even come close to any of this yoga system. Karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, none of those things. So what's the best way you can do? Simply keep chanting the name of God. That's the only thing we can do. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has been challenged by the great scholars, what is this like a madman you are chanting? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You are a great scholar. You are from a great Brahmin family. Why don't you study Vedanta, Vedas? And then he said, my guru said, you don't have intelligence to do all those things. You simply chant the name of Krishna. That is enough. But by the way, he is a great scholar. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a great scholar. Nyaya Shastra, he can just debate left and right. But he said, I am not qualified. I don't have that intelligence. Therefore, my guru said, simply chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Right? So, Kam Vayum Agnim Salim Mahimcha Jyotimsi Satvani Disho Drumadhin. So the next sloka goes on saying the devotee should not see anything as being separated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if you're following any, for example, it is a Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, or Bhakti Yoga, doesn't matter which yoga we fall into, but one must try to see no difference between anyone. That doesn't mean that you start going into the ladies' bathroom. That's not what it means. Right? Men should not go there. And what do you mean by we don't see any difference? It's not like that. What we'll get into the details as we go. But the point here it says is that a great person will not see any difference between a human, a tree, or anything for that matter. He sees everything as one. One of what? With God. Part and parcel of God. So then he goes past the devotion, direct experience of the Supreme Lord, and detachment from other things. These three, that is the three things: devotion, direct experience of Supreme Lord, and detachment from other things. These three occur simultaneously for one who has taken shelter of Krishna. In the same way that pleasure, nourishment, and relief from hunger come simultaneously and increasingly. So how that the nourishment, pleasure, and hunger all comes at the same time when you eat things taken care. Likewise, when you get engaged in the devotional service, everything will be taken care also. So he goes on that way. Now the Raja Uvacha. Ata Bhagavatam Bhruta Yad Dharmo Yadrisho Nranam Yatacharati Yad Bhrute Yair Lingir Bhagavat Priyaha. He asks next one. Now please tell me in great detail about the devotees of the Supreme Lord. What are the natural symptoms of which I can distinguish? Now he's going to ask, he's asking a question. How do I differentiate? How do I understand who is a devotee, who is a bhakta? And is there a different types of bhaktas? Is there a different types of bhaktas? Can you please explain that in details? How are they and how can we identify? Now the Rishi called Havir, Sri Havir Uvacha. Sarva Bhuteshu Yap Pashyate, beautiful sloka. Sarva Bhuteshu Yap Pashyate, Bhagavat Bhavam Atmanaha, Bhutani Bhavatyatmani Yesha Bhagavatottamaha. Bhagavata Uttamaha. The Uttama Bhagavata. Bhagavata means devotee. The Uttama Bhagavata is one. Sarva Bhuteshu ya Pashyat. Sarva Bhuteshu means sees all the living entities equally. Sarva Bhuteshu Pashyat. He sees everyone equally. Now, Bhagavad Bhavam Atmanaha, that Bhavam, that emotion or the mood that he has to see everything equally. That's the first thing. A Uttama Bhagavata, the person who is in the Uttama stage, they don't see any differences. He is bad, he is good. When Hiranyakashipu asked his son, my dear son Prahlad, this is the first time he comes back home on a spring break. He comes back home. He says that, what did you learn in the school? Can you tell me? And then Prahlad says, I don't understand what they teach there, father. Dad, what's the problem? Is the teacher not giving you nice lessons? No, he tells, but then it doesn't make sense to me. He says that these people are good people. These people are bad people. Asuras are good because the Prahlad family is Asura family. Asuras are all good people. Devatas are all bad people. I don't understand what they're teaching that. Well, they're very good teachers. They're telling the exact right thing to you. You have to learn that. But I don't see any difference between who is good and who is bad. I don't see any difference between this and that. How can they say this is good and that is bad? Because that happens in our life also. Sometimes we say that we may have someone whom we think that this person is so nice, very good, very, very good, very knowledgeable, very devoted, very nice. We tell all the glorifying words. 2 years, 3 years over. And then you go and talk to that person. How are you doing? I'm doing good. How is that person that you said? What does it mean? What does sound means? He's not. He's just a fluke, whatever it is, right? So what happened? Therefore, we can understand that sometimes, even in our relationship, we glorify someone and then we think, I shouldn't have done that one. It's too much for glorify that person. Or sometimes we hate someone, the same person after a few days, he may become your best friend. Therefore, it's best never to get involved in relationship problem. Never to become an advisory between the, especially if it is anything to do with husband-wife relationship issues, keep away. They will fight today. Tomorrow they'll be together in the movie theater. Right? So better keep away in this relationship problem. Unless you are assigned counselor or someone, it's not good to interfere in any relationship. They may fight today, brothers and sisters may fight today, and we may try to go and solve their problem. Right? Trying to patch up things. They will not like each other. They will not like each other. Right? You'll be surprised after a few years, they'll be together nicely. And you will become a bad guy. If you have done something, told something to solve the problem between these two people, you would have tried to genuinely help this person. Person A and person B, brother and sister, or brother, what you genuinely try to help this person. And they don't want to get along. And after a few years, they are together. And now they are going to talk about you. You know, that person told about you. But the intention was not to create fight, but it's better to be careful in these things. So, Sarvabhuteshiya Pashyat Bhavat Bhavam Atmanaha Bhutani Bhavati Atmani Yesha Bhagavatottamaha. So, the most advanced devotee sees within everything the soul of all souls. Why? How he sees everything equally? Not on. We all know that we are all different here. No one is same. No one is same. But we are all one in one sense. We are all Atma. First thing is that no one is here without Atma. That means you're not live. You're dead, right? So we are all Atmas. More than that, much closer we are because Paramatma, because of Paramatma. Atma also you can tell you are a different Atma, I am a different Atma. He is different Atma, I am different Atmas. Right? But what is connecting all the Atmas together is one Lord, that is Paramatma. In that sense, it's the same Paramatma with this, which is in me, is also within you. Whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God, Paramatma is there. God is everywhere. In that way, the person starts seeing everyone equally. Sarvabhuteshu ya pashyat. Apashyati. It goes to the extreme. We may be, how can you do this one? Is that possible? This is possible only for the great sages who renounced everything. You must be a sannyasi. Otherwise, it's not possible to have an equal vision to everyone. But you should know there are many great sages, even in our time frame. Now, we're not talking about Dwapar Yuga, Trayata Yuga, Satya Yuga. Those are all past. Even in this Kali Yuga, there are great sages. For example, Namadev. Have you heard about Namdev, a great saint Maharashtra?
Yeah.
Namdev. He is a very wonderful, great devotee. He always chants the name of Vithala, always chants the name of Pandarinath. Right? He's a great devotee of Krishna. So, one time what happened was he was having this food, all this food made by his wife, and then wife said, please eat. He said, I have some business, I finish it and come. So what he does is every day he goes and full time he does bhajan, keeps singing. That's what he keep doing every time. So one day what happened, he never came back home. His breakfast time was over, lunch time was getting over. So the wife was very concerned. So she packed all the lunch and she was looking out for him. He went to the temple, he was not there. He went to some other place, he was not there. No place he was there. Finally, someone told Namadev is over there doing his bhajan. Then she went there and she spoke to her husband. When he took a pause, she turned, he saw his wife was there. He said, what is the matter? My dear, please, husband, Prabhu, please take your lunch. It's lunch. You haven't eaten anything. What do you want me to eat? I'm already full. He said, I'm already full. I'm over full. You never ate anything. How you are full? The nama, the chanting of Krishna's name, making me completely satisfied. I don't need any external chapati, roti, khichdi, any of those things. I'm already full. I don't want anything. You please take and go. For my sake, please take this food also. Why are you insisting me? I don't want to eat this food. If you don't eat, I cannot eat. I will not eat. That some of the Matajis will be surprised. What is she talking about? But this is traditional way of how it is. Right? Husband eats first and then wife eats next. Now, he said, I can't eat. Well, I give you permission, you go and eat. Well, I cannot accept that. At least for my sake, you eat. Okay, you leave it here, I will eat. You go. If I leave here, you'll go back to your bhajan, you will not eat. So better in front of me, you eat. Trust me, I will eat. Guaranteed, I will eat. You go home and eat and take care of the family. I'll come a little later in the evening. And then she said, okay, and she left. All the food was nicely kept in a nice basket and around next to him. As soon as she left, he started doing bhajan. And then a dog came. The side by the street dog came. The dog came and he took that basket of food and ran. There are two small bags. One is a basket and another one had a sugar and ghee. That one it left. And it took another which had food, it chapati roti, it took and ran. The dog ran. And Namadev immediately started chasing the dog. Everyone was thinking that probably is upset with the dog. He's going to stone the dog or hit the dog and take the food. But the dog was also running. He was also running. They were running and he was chasing and running and chasing. This was going on. Finally, dog gave up. The dog could not run. And then he caught hold of the dog, put his hand around the dog and opened the packet. Because the dog did not take the ghee and sugar, he brought the ghee and sugar in front of the dog. He took the roti, dipped it nicely with the ghee and sugar and started feeding the dog. And the dog was happily eating, happily ate. And everyone thought he's a crazy man. And they didn't even stay there. They all left to a distance. As soon as they left, as he was feeding, he was just focusing in mixing that ghee and sugar with the roti and giving. And then he didn't realize, actually he was feeding, and then he turned, it was no more dog, it was Krishna. It was Krishna. And then he said, I don't know much of that language, but otherwise it's beautiful, nice poems are written by him also. He says that I know you took a different Matsya avatar, Kurma avatar, Varaha avatar. What is this dog avatar? Never heard of this one. Just for my sake, you are doing this one? Well, I have to do this one because for you, you can see me everywhere, in anywhere. For me, I can't see you like that. I have to come to see you. Because we are not present everywhere. Atma is Anu. Atma is Anu means it can be in only one place. But it's consciousness, that the knowledge, jnana, that spreads everywhere. But Atma is Anu. Whereas Paramatma is not Anu, it's Vibhu. Because it is Vibhu, great souls like Namadev can see God everywhere. But if God wants to see us, he can't see us everywhere. He has to come to see us. What the condition, difficult condition for God, right? So he comes, but he came as a dog. So we can never say where God is not present. God is present in anyone and everyone. There's another, have you heard about Jnaneshwar in Maharashtra? He's also from Maharashtra. He's a great Jnani, Jnaneshwar, right? They're all pretty much around the same period of time. Jnaneshwar was a young boy born to a Brahmana father and mother, but the parents passed away. But they had this sons and a daughter. The brothers were sisters were together. It is time for Jnaneshwar, is by his name says, is very, very wise. He knows everything, Shastra, very humble too. So, but as a system, he wants to learn the Shastra systematically. Just because we know everything, it's not that you don't need to have to go to school, but he wants to learn systematically from a guru. So he went to a close by area where all the Brahmanas reside, Agrahara. He went there, and which is brothers and sisters. It is time for him to learn the Shastras. So he went and approached, can you please teach me the Vedas? I want to learn Vedas. And the Brahmanas asked him, okay, are you Brahmana? They don't know. They asked the question, are you Brahmana? Yes, my parents are Brahmins. So I am a Brahmin. Okay, very good. What Gotra you are? And this boy doesn't know. He doesn't know what Gotra is. He was a young boy. He didn't know. But he said, he quoted a verse from the Vedas. He said, even if a Brahmana doesn't know his Gotra, the teacher who's going to teach can tell his Gotra and teach the students. He falls into his Gotra. When he said, they were not impressed. They said, that's all fine. You're quoting very nicely, but we are not ready to teach you. We are not ready to teach you. He said, what will make you, you're telling that Brahman, sticking to this concept of Brahmin. What is how do you define a person to be a Brahmana? A Brahmana is a person who is close to Brahman. Brahman means the absolute truth, God. One who is close to God is called Brahmana. Looks like people are not close to God. Otherwise, you don't see the differences like this. Then they ask, do you see God everywhere? He said, yes, I see God everywhere. Then why you want to learn Vedas? Because God wants, everyone has their Varnashrama Dharma. According to the Dharma, one has to do certain things. It is the right age for us to learn systematically the Vedas. Therefore, we want to learn. So if you see God everywhere, then they said that there's a buffalo was coming. Buffalo and was walking and coming. Do you see God in that? And Jnani said, God is everywhere. What about this buffalo? Is in you, in it's me, in this buffalo, and everywhere God is present. I see. Okay, let's see if you can prove it. And then Jnana, not for the sake of showing how great he was, but these people are dull-headed. They're not understanding. They stuck into the concept of being a caste Brahmana. Therefore, he went close to the buffalo and he prayed, my dear Lord, please prove to these people that you're present here also. And as soon as he said that, the buffalo started reciting Veda mantra, Purusha Shukta. Sagastra Shir, I don't know how the buffalo will move his mouth, but the thing is Sagastra Shirsha, Purusha, Sagasraksha, Sagasrapat, Prabhumim Vishwato, Vritva, Atyatishta Tasangulam. The buffalo, the Lord within that buffalo recited, and everyone was stunned and shocked to see this one. Therefore, we see these examples, great examples, how like great says, have seen God present in everywhere, everywhere. There was, I don't remember the name of this devotee, but in Puri Jagannath, there was a great devotee. Again, don't know the name, but the story is what is important for us. He had this very strong practice of washing a feet of a saintly person and drinking that water. And then he takes his meal. Every day he's been doing this for many, many years. Every day he goes, finds a sadhu, and then invites him, wash his feet, and then drink that water. And then feed him, and then he takes his meal. That's been the practice that he's been doing. On one day, he couldn't find one person. He was running around, going around. Now that he want to eat for sure. Whenever he doesn't find one, he doesn't eat. That's all, simple. He's not start inviting it doesn't make someone to be, okay, you become a sadhu now, I will wash your feet. Not like that. So if he doesn't find anyone, he'll just happily fast that day. In this day, like that, he was walking around and going around to find a sadhu to wash his feet and take its Sharanamrita. He couldn't find anyone. But then in a distance, he could see someone was like this. He was completely covered with this shawl, completely covered, chadar is completely covered. He was chanting Narayana, Narayana, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath. Like that he was chanting. He thought, I found finally, Jagannath has given me a devotee to worship. So he said, can you please come to my house? I want to honor you and give you prasadam. He said, surely I will come. He has not seen that person fully yet. He only saw the face from a distance. He didn't pay much attention. He said, come, he'll come. Then he came, he sat, he gave a nice asana like at this chair. He sat, and then he asked to place the feet on the plate, foot on the plate, feet on the plate, so he can wash it. When he removed his dhoti and placed on, then the family members were also there. But he was not at all paying much attention. Then the family members, when they saw, they literally felt like throwing out, vomiting. He was a leprosy. He had leprosy. That means the toes are all shrinked. Things are oozing out of his feet. It may be discussing what I'm saying, but this is what the truth is. It was so bad. The wife and children and mother and father, hey, send him away, send him away, send him away. If it's okay if you fast today, please send him away. He said, he is a great devotee. The Lord has come to my Aditi Devo Bhava. Have you heard this one? Aditi Dev, any guest who is coming home is not ordinary guest, especially those who come to home without giving a message or text message or calling, I'm coming to your house now at this time. No. Suddenly someone comes, we have to understand that God has come. The treatment should be like that. So he said, he is Jagannath. Narayana has come to our house. How can I send him? Well, that's all fine. At least give him some food and then send him away. Don't wash his feet. Even if you wash, don't do the next thing. At least don't do that one. He said, please stop. This is what I will be doing. And I don't see anything bad here. And then he started washing the feet. Immediately, all the family members left the house and went outside. They don't want to see any further. They all left outside and standing outside, closed the door. But he washed the feet. And he took the Charanamrita and drank it. The beauty of that is, when he was doing this one, not a little bit of disgusted face or any sort of hatred or any symptoms at all. He was very happily, like how he did yesterday with the other person. He was very happily taking and with great, took with the great blessings, and he drank it. And drank and then did pranam and looked up. Jagannath was sitting there. It was Jagannath himself who came in that manner as a leprosy person, sitting there. He said, fell at the feet. The Lord can come in any form to, if you want to glorify a devotee, he can do anything. So many stories. We can go on with stories here. For example, Sukadev Goswami. Sukadev Goswami, when he was born, he was 16 years old. At least now we spoke about dog. We spoke about a person who had leprosy, right? And many stories are there. But Sukadeva Goswami, when he had such a great devotee, where even the trees and plants were responding to him. When he was 16 years old, he left the house immediately, he walked out of the house. He was marching somewhere looking for Krishna. As he was going out, his father was calling him, my dear son, my dear putra, my dear putra. And the son was walking in the front, and the response was coming back. And who was talking? Yes, dad, yes, dad. It was the trees and plants were talking. He was just walking. But that means he was not seeing any difference between himself or the tree or a wood or a stone or anything for that matter. That's a level of consciousness that the great devotees have. Now we start thinking about you're black, you're white, you're fat, you're thin, right? You are this country and that country. We are a long way to go. If you think about these things, people fight about all different things. But when you read Srimad Bhagavatam, we understand that none of those really matters. What matters to see everyone equally. The unity will not come unless and until Bhagavad Gita, the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is given to people. Because that's the only scripture we speaks about unity and diversity. No other scripture speaks about that in this detail. And we can see the examples from Bhagavatam, especially. Any questions so far? We have 15 more minutes. Any questions online or comments?
To achieve
Yeah.
these stages, I mean, obviously, you know that these people, the names are written, we speak about these people all the time. But for ordinary people to get to that level, they have to take long works and to come that pure to get to that level.
So here's the thing. So the question, if you all didn't hear on the online, the question is, these are all nice and examples, but for people like ordinary people, common people like us, how can we come to that stage or that level? So two things to answer that is, we understand that we are not going to get to that level. These are special, very special souls, very special souls. We cannot become like them. Therefore, when we pray to Krishna, please, you give that intelligence, you give that knowledge where I can see everyone equally. Otherwise, there are processes by which we can do jnana yoga and start seeing everyone equally. That's where this whole thing is leading to. By karma yoga, you can see everyone equally, or from karma yoga to jnana yoga, then you see yourself Atma and you see everyone as Atma and you see everyone equally. These are the two steps. Both are difficult. Even though it appears to be simple in karma yoga, both are difficult. So what's the best way that we can all gain that level of maturity is by simply praying to Krishna, my dear Krishna, give me also a vision where I can see everyone equally. And not only saying that, then we simply follow the instruction that Krishna has given for devotees, whatever the things that we need to follow. We need to follow those things strictly. I will pray to you, you give me that one, but I won't do anything that you said. It's not a right way also, right? Therefore, Krishna will be pleased by seeing our devotion and our sincerity. Then we also pray, let me treat everyone equally. Let me see everyone equally. And this is what Krishna also says in today's recording also, I think I mentioned in the 12th chapter, where he sees everyone equally. A bhakti yogi also sees everyone equally. So that by our prayers and our sincere practice, we can come to that stage also. Any other questions? And we have to tell the mind whenever we start seeing differences. We apply what we read. Because initially it requires consciously doing these things, right? Then it becomes our nature. Because something which is not of our nature requires some practices in any field of life. If a person is not used to getting up in the morning, he cannot get up morning at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock. It requires practice. Then you tell them at least get up at 7 o'clock. Don't sleep till 9 o'clock. Then you tell them, why don't you get up at 6 o'clock? Why don't you get up at 5 o'clock? So one has to practice certain things. Teaching and preaching our mind. Is it okay?
Yeah.
I don't know any other answer than this. There's no magic
I mean,
pill.
It's not that necessarily, you want to get to that stage. I mean, like you say, it's very rare
Yeah,
to have these people, but at least to get to maybe, 0.00001% of that, but what's been mentioned.
yeah. But to add to that point, this is all beautiful. It is all required quality of a devotee. But if you're surrendered, then this is not a prerequisite. This is good to have. This is all good to have. All these qualities are good to have. One has to cultivate. But this is not a defining factor to get the costless mercy of Krishna. Krishna's mercy is costless. But that doesn't mean we don't work towards that. We have to work. We have to do our best. And then leave the rest to Krishna. To give us rest of his balance, fill that balance with Krishna's mercy.
You mentioned about the types of bhaktas, devotees.
That's coming up next.
Next one, even the first one you mentioned, just the.
Uttama. Yeah, Uttama.
Uttama.
Yeah, so if you have no question, then we'll have another 5, what's the time? 9 more minutes. We can cover and finish it if no questions. I want to give enough time to questions. So the first level is Uttama person, Bhagavatam Uttama. And we went out a lot of stories in between. I think that took time. But we need the stories to understand, otherwise we'll not relate it.
That's what we are cherishing.
Huh?
That's all, at least I am cherishing.
Yeah, stories will remind us all the time. There's one, I just remember another story. There's one great, those who are from Karnataka, Bangalore, Karnataka, in Udupi, Mangalore. No, Udupi. In Udupi, in many years back, there was a great saint by name Kanakadasa. So one time, there was a sort of a issue happened between his guru and other disciples. They were thinking that guru was giving importance to Kanakadasa. Kanakadasa was not a born Brahmana, by the way. He is in a fourth order of life. But guru was giving importance to Kanakadasa. The others were thinking, oh, I am so and so. He's not giving me importance. Therefore, gurus wanted to teach these people. He closed his hand, palm, fist. When no one is seeing, he did something like this and he closed his hand like this. He asked his disciples, can you tell me what is inside my hand? And everyone who started telling, there is, you must be having amla. One has said you must be having a chickpeas. Another one has said you must be having some coins. Everyone started telling something or the other. And the guru said, no. What is inside my hand? What is inside my hand? Can you see what's in my hand? Can you? No one, right? And the guru called Kanakadasa. And he said, can you tell me what's in my hand? He said, the answer blew everyone's mind. Udupi, Krishna is in your hand. Krishna is in your hand. Who can say no to this answer? Just imagine, this is a question. Literally, he doesn't have anything in his hand. He simply closed his hand, and everyone thought that he had something in his hand. That's why Krishna, Guru is testing. Kanakadasa said, Krishna is in your hand, he said. And the Guru opened, and there was a Shaligram Shila. It was not before. There was a Shaligram Shila in his hand. Krishna appeared in his hand. So even if Krishna doesn't appear in his hand, for sake of argument, that answer is still valid. Krishna is everywhere. Why not inside his hand? Right? So when we understand Krishna is everywhere, we will be very careful in what we do, how we speak, how we behave. Not only we behave well when 10 people are watching us. It's very easy to be a good person when 10 people are watching us. We are on the spot. Right? When no one is watching us, How is our thought? How is our behavior? What are we doing inside the four walls? Matters. We think no one is watching. I can do, and whatever I want to do, I can do. But this story says Krishna is everywhere. He is present. Personally, he is present. He has agents also, by the way. He assigned agents. Vayu Devata, Surya Devata. All those devatas are there watching us.
Oh, I think,
Yeah.
This Kanakadas are showing the very another story also. Hide anywhere where.
Yes. Yes.
Purely told, I think.
Yeah, that's a story where same problem happened with the disciples, and the guru will say, now you take this set of bananas. This one I would have told at least 100 times. So take this set of, he gave some bananas in the hands of each of every disciple. He said, go to a place where no one is there and finish all the bananas and come and report back to me how you did it. And it's an easy job. If that's what we were there, we know. We have so many secret places where we can go to basement, we can go to the closet, we can go many places and eat, sit there and eat, finish and everything. And then come and one person, where did you go? I went to the basement. Where did you go? I went to the pool. Where did you go? Treetop. Where did you go? Mountain cave. They started telling so many different things. Everyone were happy, and they could see that Kanakadasa was carrying the whole the bunch of bananas and walking with his head down because he's sad because he couldn't fulfill this order of his guru. So he came. Everyone started laughing at him, and then Guru said, "Kanaka, what happened? You can't find a place where you cannot hide and eat, where no one sees you." I'm very sorry. I can't fulfill your instruction, my Guru. Here is what I failed in my duty. He said, why? You said you should eat in a place where no one sees you. Everywhere I go, Krishna is looking at me. Wherever I go, I see Krishna. How can I eat? Oh, that's a level of conscious. Anyway, there's many stories. We can go on many saints, how they see God everywhere. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? It just we can continue from the different types of devotees. We saw the Uttama Bhakta now. And other two are very easy because it's very close to us. This is what is very difficult to understand. How can someone exist like this in the world? The other ones are, we fall into one of these categories anyway. So it's easy. It's just 2 minutes. 2 minutes we can finish it. But I want to wait. Okay. Anything from online? Zoom? Anyone want to add something? I hope you have all been able to hear. Thumbs up.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, we are able to hear. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Srinivas, you're there. So I hope Anjali also heard. It's all mostly from her state, her place, Maharashtra.
Yeah. Kansas City now. We are in Kansas City.
You're everywhere. Okay, if there's no questions, we can close today and meet again next week. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. I just